This is the car that a tow truck just pulled out nearly seconds before we came on air. This is the Dodge Charger. We understand 2 people were shot here in Hillsborough, and you can clearly see more than one window shot out by obvious gunfire. Again, this is happening as we're coming to you live. The tow truck just went by us and we captured that video. You can clearly see.
Disappointed because he was a good person. He didn't bother nobody.
It's like a dream.
It's a bad dream we can't wake up from.
Morgan's father and stepmother tell me he was a hard worker, a talented football player, and deeply loved.
He was a great son.
He was a great son. He was a magnificent son.
The swoosh of this net is what spawned their bond.
We would come out here almost all the time, play basketball on this hoop right here. This is where we grew up at. This is where we played ball at. This is where we did everything at.
Sophia Hart woke up to the most horrible news about her best friend.
My mama like, Zai gone, Zai gone. I drop down to the floor, I start crying.
"16-year-old Zakira Wlo, affectionately known as Z to family and friends, was a vibrant and promising young girl with a bright future ahead. Like most teens, she loved staying up to date with the latest dance trends and spending time with her loved ones. But Z was more than just a social butterfly. She had a deep passion for basketball. From a young age, she showed immense talent on the court, continually improving as she grew older. She had big dreams of playing collegiate basketball and was well on her way to making that a reality. As a sophomore at Discovery Charter School in Durham, North Carolina, she was a star player on the girls' basketball team, dominating both male and female opponents with her skills. Everyone who knew her admired her athleticism, determination, and infectious spirit. She was looking forward to returning to school after the winter break and getting back to what she loved, playing basketball. Zakira would leave her home that evening with a simple plan. She was heading out to grab Bojangles. Little did she know, this seemingly ordinary decision would lead to a tragic turn of events that would change her life forever. In the blink of an eye, everything would be upended, leaving her family, friends, and the entire community in shock and mourning. No one could have predicted such an unexpected and devastating outcome, and the ripple effects of that moment would be felt by all who knew her. Just before 7 a.m. on December 30th, 2024, Hillsborough police were dispatched to Cardinal Drive near Interstate 85 in response to reports of a gunshot injury. When officers arrived at the scene, they discovered a tragic scene: an unresponsive teenage girl lying on the ground outside of a Dodge Charger, and a young adult male, also unresponsive, inside the vehicle. Shattered glass from the back passenger window littered the area, suggesting a violent incident had taken place. The discovery immediately set off an investigation as law enforcement worked to piece together the events.
12 hours since Hillsborough police first showed up at the scene, and at this time they've still not released any suspect information. The yellow police tape they've been up behind me here on Cardinal Drive much of the day has just been taken down after a tow truck taking out the vehicle was taken out of the scene. Family gathering nearby. Here's what we know at this hour. Those 2 victims found shot in a car late last night.
The victims were identified as 16-year-old Zakira Wlo and 20-year-old DeAnthony Morgan, who were both sadly pronounced dead at the scene after succumbing to gunshot wounds. Witnesses told news sources that they heard gunshots the night before. During a walk the next morning, they found the body of Zakira, who was located outside next to the vehicle, and DeAnthony, who was located inside. The State Bureau of Investigation has joined local authorities in assisting with the ongoing investigation. Nearly 12 hours after the grim discovery, investigators continued to process the scene. Yellow crime scene tape remained in place, cordoning off several hundred feet of Cardinal Drive, and it wasn't until around 6 p.m. that police finally removed it. A tow truck was called in to remove the vehicle central to the investigation, signaling that authorities were wrapping up their initial examination of the area. The community remained on edge as they awaited further updates on the incident. The murder of 2 young individuals left the community grappling with shock. It was hard to process. Why and how did this happen? Who would do something like this? And was either Zakira or DeAnthony the intended target? So many unanswered questions. The night before the tragic discovery, dozens of gunshots echoed through the area, raising concerns among residents. 911 calls released later provided chilling details about the moment when the bodies were found. One caller mentioned seeing a car with its door still open and the engine running, noting that they had heard gunshots the previous night but didn't investigate until realizing the car had remained in place overnight. News crews also spoke with the manager at the nearby Holiday Inn Express, who revealed that no one inside the hotel had heard the gunshots. By the time the manager arrived for work the next morning, the area had already been cordoned off with crime scene tape, marking the gravity of the situation. The eerie silence in the aftermath, coupled with the confusion and disbelief, left the community reeling with grief.
They found a gunshot victim, advising they heard shots around 8 or 9 a.m. possibly yesterday. They are advising that they believe the person is deceased beside a Charger that's still running.
Neighbors say they heard gunshots late last night, but had no idea Wardlow was shot and killed.
From my understanding, she had went to Bojangles out to eat last night around 9 or 10 o'clock, and she never showed up back at home, and she still haven't came home.
Wardlow's sister is in shock.
It hurts. I think it hurts everybody that, knowing that her body is, still out there.
For hours, police, investigators, and the medical examiner processed the scene on a dead-end road outside of the Holiday Inn Express, while family and friends of Wardlow sat in shock feet away.
I've been trying to, hold it together, but I can't. I can't. It's just so hard.
DeAnthony Morgan's family struggled to comprehend the tragic events that led to his death. His uncle, speaking to news sources, described him as a good person with a kind heart who never bothered anyone. DeAnthony had graduated from North Lenoir High School, was working at Sanderson Farms in Kinston, and was taking college classes, traits that painted him as a hardworking and responsible young man. His family found it difficult to understand how or why this could have happened to someone with such a positive reputation. The exact nature of the relationship between DeAnthony and Zakira Wlo remained unclear, but family members believed they may have met at a high school football game. This only deepened the mystery surrounding their deaths, as both families grappled with the loss of young lives in an incident that, to them, seemed senseless and inexplicable.
One day after his body was discovered, 20-year-old DeAnthony Morgan's family visited the scene where the shooting took place. Morgan's granduncle, Keith Sutton, says he's trying to cope with the loss.
He was good-hearted. He tried to help you if he could. He didn't pick no fight. He didn't bother nobody. That's why I can't understand why all this here nonsense went on.
Police found Morgan and 16-year-old Zakira Wlo inside a vehicle on Cardinal Drive early Monday morning, but they say the shooting happened hours before on Sunday. Over the phone, Morgan's father told me his son would visit Wardlow after work. Family says the two went to Bojangles together before they were killed.
I couldn't believe it at first. I just really couldn't believe it. It's just a horrible tragedy, and I wish these young people would value life more.
His dad says Morgan was in community college and worked multiple jobs, recently saving up enough money to buy a car. Morgan was thinking about joining the Army and following his father's footsteps.
I raised my son the best I could. He was a great son. He just got caught up in the situation. I guess he was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Family also says Morgan was a good football player and wanted to play in college. But right now, they're left with plenty of questions, wondering how and why this happened.
It's kind of rough right now. When you can't eat breakfast, can't sleep, it's kind of rough right now. It's too fresh. It's rough.
Orange County Schools sent a letter to students and parents expressing sadness at the news of the shooting. We are terribly saddened by news of the tragic death of our former student, Zakira Wlo, who previously attended Cedar Ridge High School as a freshman in 2023 to 2024. Our hearts go out to her family and friends, and all who knew her, especially the Cedar Ridge girls basketball team on which she played last year. Discovery Charter also reacted to the shocking news. Though Z, as she was often called, had only this year joined our Trailblazer family, she was already known as a bright, kind, respectful, and valued member of our school community. She made many friends and integrated well into our Trailblazer community in the short time she was a Discovery student. Her presence brought joy to classmates and teachers alike, and she will be deeply missed. During this heartbreaking time, our thoughts and deepest condolences are with her family, friends, and all those who knew and loved her. A GoFundMe was created for both Zakira and DeAnthony to cover their unexpected funeral expenses. As of right now, no suspect description has been released, and family along with law enforcement are encouraging anyone with information to come forward, citing that they need as much help as they can get. The lesson in the story of Zakira Wlo and DeAnthony Morgan's tragic deaths highlights the unpredictability and fragility of life. It underscores the importance of cherishing every moment and being aware of the impact our choices and actions can have, often in ways we can't foresee. Both victims were young with bright futures ahead, and the senselessness of their deaths serves as a reminder that violence can affect anyone, regardless of their background or intentions. Additionally, the story speaks to the significance of community and family support during times of loss. The shock and grief experienced by their families also reflect the pain of losing someone who had so much potential, further stressing the importance of resolving conflicts peacefully and fostering empathy in our interactions. Ultimately, the story reminds us of the need for better communication, conflict resolution, and a commitment to creating safer, more supportive environments for our young people to grow and thrive. Rest in peace, Zakira Wlo and DeAnthony Morgan.